the global challenges faced by the student or the learner, the concept of global education and global citizenship. Now, what is the concept of global education and global citizenship? We are not focusing this on a particular area. We are talking about the global citizenship of an individual. Now, globalization threatens the authenticity and influence of the nation state as it yields to international agreements. Now, the globalization is threatening the authenticity and influences the nation side as it yields to international agreements as we are working on the global scenario. International institution, we are not focusing only on the national institutions, but we are focusing on the international institutions, and new forms of sovereignty has been arises due to the globalization. In economics, expand global trade, causing structural changes in production and distribution. We are saying that in the field of economics also, the expanded global trade means we are not focusing our trade only to the local areas or to the nation, but we are focusing our trade to the global scenario. Then, expanded global trade causing structural changes means basis changing structural changes has been made in the field of production, how the production has to be made, and distribution of the goods that has been produced based on comparative competitives in of economics means all these changes has been done in the field of the produced good related to the comparative competitions which we the businessman is facing in the field of economics. In sociological perspective, globalization has established a veritable global civil society. In cultural perspective, establishment of global communication industries has threatened and to some extent weakened national values. Now, what is that they are saying when we are talking about the globalization? We it is had threatened the and weakened the national values among the learners or the citizens because they are we are more focused on the global perspective and traditions through the emergence of multi-ethnic and multicultural societies towards a global culture because we are focusing or we are uh, uh, emphasis on the global culture, the global societies, the multicultural societies. We are not focusing on the culture of a particular society. We are talking about the cultures of different societies. Now, individual choices versus social choices. Now, what we are saying that there is a difference between what a individual wants and what a society wants. The free market versus government interventions. Now, what is that? The free market versus the government interventions. How the government is intervening in the economics or the production or the industries, how the government is intervening in all these sectors. Local authority versus super local authority. Public education, curriculum, and pedagogy. The essence of global education is not about who is running the classroom so much as what students are learning within it. Now, what is important? What we are learning, what the learners is learning during that particular class. We are more focused on that. We are not focused on what essence of global education is not about who is running the class when we are uh, uh, thinking on the global way on the basis of the global education. We are not focusing who is running the class, but we are more focusing on what students are learning within the class to create a holistic the whole view interdisciplinary approach giving students both skills and the abilities to adapt those skills. Now, interdisciplinary approach should be focused in which we are focusing both on how the students are learning those skills and the abilities of the students to adapt those skills. Global education and global citizenship means we are not focusing on the citizenship of a particular country or a particular area. We are talking about a education system that is globally accepted, and when education will be like that, then our citizenship will be also on the global perspective. Linking of educators and students through technology through fosters a sense of global community means in the present scenario when we are in the pandemic situation, who which thing is making how we are correlated with each other with the use of technology. What things are going on the America, what are things are going in Britain. All these type of information we gathered or we come to know through the technology. So what is that? Linking of educators means when educators who are giving the education and students who are taking the education, if we link them both, the educators and the students to technology, that fosters, that develops a sense of global community among them. Global citizenship can proceed of the goal of global education. Now, the global citizenship key perspective means that is important. The global citizenship word is the key perspective of the goal of global education. Global citizenship can only be achieved when we have achieved the aim of global education. Notions of knowledge, caring and empathy towards one's local, national, and global community are overreaching things of global citizenship. Means all the things will help in global communities are overreaching themes of global citizenship. Means all these things are working in the area of overreaching themes of global citizenship. Schools K-12 and institutions of higher education work to provide students with necessarily multicultural and cosmolative perspective. Means that all the focus of the education system not about the schools which are giving education till 12, but the institutions which are giving higher education are working to provide students with an increasingly multicultural and cosmolative perspective. They are not focusing on the culture of that particular country or the area. Curricula going global. Now, the curriculum which has been developed for the schools are not focusing on the needs of the local area, but we are focusing while developing the curriculum that the curriculum should focus the needs of the global scenario. School must teach skills transferable from one job to another. Now that is important, that when we are framing a curriculum, it is important that the students will able to transfer one skill that they have obtained after doing one job. They can easily transfer that skill to another job which they will do in the future. Facilitate a contextual understanding of global education interdisciplinarity. Now, what is that? Facilitate, we have to motivate a conceptual understanding of global education. We should make them understand that the need of global education is very important in the present situation. Now, what are the challenges faced by the curriculum makers or the teachers when they are talking about the global challenges? Now, the first challenge is developing a scientifically cohesive, structured, and creative linkages between scientific researchers and policy makers. Now, what is that they are saying? That developing a scientifically cohesive structure means a structure which will be helpful, and that should be scientifically, means it should be scientifically created structured. It should not be like that. We should follow the rules of science when we are developing. That means we have to plan, we have to create some hypothesis. On the basis of the hypothesis we have to collect some data, and on the basis of the data we have collected, we have to interpret it and come to a conclusion. So we have to develop a scientifically cohesive structure. And creating linkage, and a linkage should be, a link should be established between scientific researchers and policy makers, what they are getting, the results, the conclusions of the scientific researches, and those who are making the policy, those who are making the curriculum policies, they should work together, they should be linked together. That is the first challenge. If they will not link together, then the aim of global education, the global uh, scenario of getting the global students will be placed at the global scenario will not be achieved. Now, challenge one, developing a scientifically cohesive structure and creating linkages between scientific researchers and policymakers. The first one is potential, developing network, cloud, MOUs, and agreement. We have to uh, develop a network in which we have to sign the memorandums and we have to sign the agreements between two nations, between two countries. Progress, establish science policy. We have to establish a science policy on which we have to work. Strengthen linkage. We have to work on strengthening the linkages between two institutions in two different countries, between scientists and policymakers. The scientists, those who are working in the field for global perspectives, and the policymakers who are developing the new curriculum or they are framing the policies for the curriculum. Possibilities, more integrated and adequate regional networking program. That will be the what will be the possibilities if we will develop a linkage between the scientific research and policy makers, then there will be a more integrated scenario will be there, more adequate regional networking platform will be there. Now, what will be the next challenge? The challenge two will be related to building a strong foundation in basic science and mathematics education. Now we have to work on the strong foundation basis for the teaching of mathematics and science. Means we have to work on developing a strong foundation for our students in science as well as in mathematical education. Now, building a strong foundation in basic sciences and mathematical education, the potential, identifying strengths and weaknesses of education system for improvement. Now we have to work on finding out what are the strengths and weaknesses of our education system and how these weaknesses can be overcome. Means we have to work in the direction of improvement, how these areas can be improved. Now, progress, integrate educational curriculum and advocate basic science and maths education. Integrate educational curriculums. We have to integrate the educational curriculums of different countries and advocate basic science and maths education, and on the basis of that we will advocate that this is the basis of science and mathematics education, and we have to give the education on that basis of maths and science. Possibilities, what will be the next possibilities? Have an adequate educational curriculum, because we have a strong foundation of the curriculum, and we have worked on our weaknesses, we have improved our education system. Now that will help, that will bring a possibilities to have an adequate educational curriculum. Now, what is the third challenge? The third challenge is related to set an ideal framework for mutual exchange of knowledge, technology, and skills. Means we have to develop a framework so that we can have a mutual exchange of knowledge, technology which we are using, and the skills which are needed. Now, challenge third, set an ideal framework. Means we have to develop a framework which will be ideal for everyone, for mutual exchange of knowledge, technology, and skills. Potentials, identifying centers of excellence and discriminate information. Identify centers of excellence means these institutions or these centers are working excellently in that area, in the area of using the technologies and to develop the skills and disseminate information. That, and not only identifying that, but also disseminate that information that these are the centers which are working on these bases, and they have been recognized as the excellent centers. Progress. Prominent regional research groups and utilization of resources. Prominent regional resource groups. Now we will uh, focus on developing the research groups which will be prominently working on the regional areas, and utilization of resources, and we have to utilize all the resources that are available so that our progress can be made. Now, what are the possibilities? Remote access to lab means collaborative joint research activities. Now, research activities will be conducted jointly, collaborations will be there, different collaborations will be there. Now, what is will be the challenge fourth? Challenge fourth will be related to public engagement in science and technology. Means we are engaging the public, the society, people in the science and technology. Public engagement in science and technology is the fourth challenge. If we will able to overcome that challenge, then the global perspective or the global education can be achieved. Now, what are the potentiality? Uh, Identify technology parks and science edutainment centers. Now we have to identify to find out the technological parks which are there, and science edutainment centers means where science education has been given, means we have to identify those centers. Progress. Emphasize the role of science and technology. We have to give emphasis on the role of science and technology. Now, what are the possibilities? Develop outreach programs by community. Now, what will be the challenge fifth? Boost innovation and competitiveness. Boost innovation, you have to bring new things. We have to motivate them to bring new things to new developments or the new discoveries. Boost innovations and competitiveness. Potential. Identify research centers and research parks, those who are working in the field of innovations. Progress. Young students, scientists to be involved with enabling them to cross over from an academic setting to research based careers. Now, we have to make our students to think in a way that they are the scientists and they should work in the field of research. They have to set their careers in the research, and this will help them to bring new innovations to the field. Young scientists to be involved with while enabling them to cross over from academic settings to research based career, and that will bring innovations in different fields. Possibilities. Research and development, private sectors, gifted and young scientists. Now, the private sectors also work in the area of research and development, and that will bring gifted and young scientists to be in the field of innovations.
Now, we will discuss about the global challenges. Now, we will discuss global challenges in higher education, which the curriculum makers are facing. Now, escalating market pressures. Now, the market is making a pressure so that the curriculum should be according to the global scenario, according to the global needs, what the global society wants from our curriculum. Increases unfunded mandates. Now, that is increasing, that the unfunded mandates are increasing in higher education, and this is again is appearing as a global challenge for the curriculum makers and the teachers, those who are helping in formulating and creating the curriculum. Declining public support. Now, what is that? This public is not supporting what they want from the curriculum. Means the community support should be increasing when we are talking about a curriculum that should be made on the global perspective. Intensify legislative oversights, that we are oversighting the legislative idea, intensifications. Accelerating pace of change means We have to change the curriculum of higher education at a higher learning pace. Means the curriculum should be changed very frequently according to the needs and the challenges which we are facing at the global level. But the changes at the higher education curriculum is not oscillating, because not the teacher, nor the students, nor the administrator and the management are in the favor of oscillating the curriculum changes very frequently. Global competition. Now, what is that? Our higher education curriculum that has been prepared is according to the needs of the Indian society, the needs of our individuals and the learners. But when we are talking that our individuals should stand for the global competition, means they should get jobs in different countries, then we have to prepare them for global competition. And whether our curriculum that has been designed and formulated by us, curriculum makers, the policy makers, whether that curriculum is making our individuals, our learners and the students for the global competition or not. Challenging faces Indian state university system. Now, what challenges our Indian state university systems are facing while they are formulating the curriculum, and the global challenges they are facing at the time of the creation and designing of the curriculum? Governance issues means the issues which are related to the governance, how the university is governing, who is governing that university. These issues are also affecting the curriculum, the design of the curriculum, and that is again a challenge in front of the curriculum makers and the teachers. Planning deficient means the planning part is not the perfect one. The planning is deficient means there is a lacking in the planning system when we are formulating and designing the curriculum for our higher education and for the university at the state level. Quality of teaching and research means the state universities are not focusing on the improvement and to bring quality in teaching, and minimum level of efforts for the development and for the quality improvement in the research section. Means we are saying that the global challenges which we are facing can be overcome only we will when we will improve in the quality of our teaching and research work. But both these things are lacking when we are talking about the Indian state university system at the curriculum making. Faculty shortage. This is the important point, that Indian state universities are facing the problems of faculty shortage. Means the faculty members are not there. That number of faculty members that are needed for a particular course, they are not employing that number of faculty members for the particular courses. Financing problems. The problem which they are facing is the finance. When we are talking about the state university system, they have to need a grant for the development of the infrastructure, for giving the money to the faculty members and other resources they want to employ and develop in the university, but they do not have that much of money, and that financing problems are also they face, and that leads to the global challenges in the making of the curriculum. Academic and examination reforms. Now, what is that? We need to change our academic system. Academic reforms should be there. Examination reform should be there. Our examination system need to be changed, and the examination system which we are following is only based on learning or judging the assessing the academics, the cognitive development of the learners. And that's why that the global challenge, when we are talking about the global challenge, they are judging or assessing an individual on holistic point of view. They are judging them on the cognitive, affective and psychomotor development. But in our examination system, we are only focusing on the cognitive domain of the learner, and that's why we are saying that a reform should be there in our examination system and the academic system. Then only we will able to make a curriculum which will be based on the global scenarios or the global society what they want. Availability of higher educational institutions means there is a lacking of higher education institutions in our country, and that's why we are not able to stand at the global scenario. So for when we want our students to be at the global level, we want our students to be at the they represent our countries at the global platform, then we have to increase the higher education institutions in our country, and that is the need of the present era, that is the need of our society or the area. Now, राष्ट्रीय उच्चतर शिक्षा अभियान की objectives means राष्ट्रीय उच्चतर शिक्षा अभियान means that are focusing on the curriculum development, are to making a development which satisfied the needs of the global scenarios, global that the students can able to stand at a platform where they can represent our country at the global level. Now, improve the quality of existing state institutions. Now, what the key objectives of that? They are saying that we have to make a qualitative improvement in the existing state institutions that are running the higher education institutions by conforming to prescribed norms and standards. Whether these state institutions are confined to the prescribed norms and standards that has been designed or the frame for the qualitative improvement, and adaptation of accreditation as a mandatory quality assurance framework, or we have to adopt a accreditation system that which will measure whether our state institutes are giving a qualitative education to the students or not. So it is we have to make it's a compulsory for the state institution that they have to go through the quality assurance framework. Introduce the facilitating institutional structure for planning and monitoring at state level. Now we have to introduce facilitating institutional structure that will work on the planning, means they will work on the designing work, they will work on the planning basis and monitoring at state level, and they will monitor whether the planning which they have prepared, whether that plan the institutions are giving them the education according to that plan or not, means they will monitor each and every work of the institution. Promoting autonomy in state universities and improve governance in institutions. Now, the next thing they are saying that from promoting autonomy, the autonomy should be given to the state universities, and improving governance in institution, and that will happen only when we will improve governance in the institution. Expand the institutional base by creating additional capacity and existing institution and establishing new institution. Expand the institutional base by creating additional capacity means we have to expand the institutional base by creating additional capacities in the state university, in existing institution and establishing new institution, and then also when we are establishing new institutions for the higher education. Promote research and innovation by promoting existing universities into research universities, means we have to promote research at every level, and that will be happen when we encourage the state universities to work in the field of research, means our universities or our institutions should be research oriented, and new innovations should be there. Now, innovations by establishing promoting existing universities means our existing university, we should promote our existing universities for working in the field of research and innovation. Create opportunities for states to undertake reforms in affiliating system. Now we have to undertake reforms when the state government has given affiliating to the state universities. Ensure adequate availability of quality faculty in all higher education institutions. Now that is important. That when we are talking about the faculty that is needed, and what type of faculty we needed, we needed a quality faculty. Then only a qualitative teaching learning process will be there. So we have to ensure that adequate availability of quality faculty is available in every higher institution. Correct regional imbalance in access to higher education by facilitating access to high quality institutions in unserved and undeserved areas. Now we have to work that we have to work in that area, that imbalance that is being there in assessing of higher education by facilitating access to high education institution, even in those areas there where there are no institutions for higher education. Improve equality in higher education by providing adequate opportunity to socially deprived communities. Now, what is that? We should give, we should plan our education in such a way that the students which come from the socially deprived areas or the communities also have the equal opportunity of getting higher education. We should provide them adequate opportunities to the people, to the learner who are coming from the socially deprived communities also. Improve equality means equality should be there in getting the admission, in involving in the teaching learning process, means no individual or a person can be deprived from education on any basis. Improve equality in higher education by providing adequate opportunities to socially deprived communities also, means we have to give them adequate opportunities so that every individual or person that is coming from the social deprived communities also get the chance for higher education. Now, strategic focus. Now, how to be prepared for the strategic? The first one is financing. Incentive the state to increase public investment in higher education, means we our state should work in that area so that public investment should be increased in higher education. When that will happen, the community involvement in the higher education will increase. Provide flexibility and autonomy to the state in the process of planning and execution. Now, we should not give a prescribed rigid norms and rules to every state university that you have to perform, you have to do on that basis only. We have to give them some flexibility and autonomy to the states in the process of planning, how they are planning the curriculum, how the curriculum should be framed and designed so that it should make their students learner, give them the platform for the global scenario and execution, how they are executing the planning which has been done by the curriculum makers. Norms and performance based funding, no, means now that is important, that the state will decide that those universities are performing, those higher educations are giving qualitative education to their students, that will increase the funding, means as the qualitative improvement will be there, the your funding will be increased. So every university will work in that area to give the qualitative education to their students, to their learners. Ensure the preparation of strategic plans for state higher education system. Now, is that the preparation of strategic plans, means they are involved in, we will ensure them that you are involved in the preparation of strategic plans for state higher education system also. Now, governance. Creation of a state council for higher education, means we have to create a state council that will work for in the qualitative improvement in the higher education. Human resources policy changes. Now, human resources, the faculty members, the administrative members, the non-teaching staff. A human resources policy changes academic and non-academic staff, means we have to change, we have to mold the policies for the academic and the non-academic staff that are working in a particular state institutions or the state organization. Process re-engineering, finance facilitations and approval from government, means we have to change the process, we have to mold the process, we have to develop a new process, and that will uh, facilitate, improve, bring more finance and approvals from government, and the way we are getting the approvals from the different governments. Strategic focus, quality. Now the next important thing is we have to focus on the qualitative education, addressing the affiliation move. When we are talking that those institutions will be given the affiliations, those who are giving the quality education to their students. Mandatory accreditations, that it is mandatory for each and every higher education institutions to get accreditations from the NAP. If they are not getting that accreditation, then their affiliations will be stopped. Focus on research and innovation, and that is important, that our universities should be research oriented, means our universities should work in the area of research and innovation, the new things that we introduce in the area of innovation should be in the different areas, and researches in the different area. So our universities should focus on research and innovation, and our universities should be research oriented, and new things should be developed and discovered by them. Encourage good colleges to become autonomous and or up to be upgraded to the universities. Now, this is the role of the state government. The state government policy should be framed in such a way that those colleges who are working who are working in a better way, and those who are giving the qualitative education to the students. Now, what we have to do, we have to uh, make make our policies, to change our policies in such a way that we should promote those colleges to become our autonomous colleges or the universities, or to be upgraded to the universities. Access to ensure one degree college within every district. Now, what is that? We have to develop, we have to make every we should ensure that every district has a degree college. Then only will our students will able to get the education. Opening of new universities, we have to make the changes in our policies and norms in such a way that the opening of new universities had a way, and expansion, and that universities, those who are existing right now, they can had a expansion. Upgradation of existing universities, means different departments can be easily opened in those universities that are existing. Strengthening of existing colleges, means those colleges who are running at that time, we have to strengthen them. We should strengthen them by the increasing their finance. We should strengthen them by flexibling our policies. Now, strengthening of existing colleges, including enhancement of capacity. Now, enhancement of capacity, those colleges who have that they can give degree to 100 colleges, we can enhance their capacity. Now, they have the affiliation to give degrees to 200 colleges. So, we have to strengthen our existing colleges also.
Now, these are the some of the references related to the topic which we have learned today: the globalization and the global challenges which the teachers or the curriculum makers are facing. Now, you can refer to these uh, books for the further reading and to understand the topic in a better way. Now we will discuss some MCQs related to the topic which we have discussed today in this particular period. The first question is related to dash threatens the authenticity of new forms of sovereignty. Now, which is the threatening point to the new forms of sovereignty? The first answer option is globalization. It is the globalization which is threatening the authenticity of new forms of sovereignty. B, socialization, that which is threatening. C is individualization, and the D1 is related to group. Means groupism has been doing that. So the correct answer is globalization. The globalization threatens the authenticity of new forms of sovereignty. The second one, expanded dash causing structural changes in production and distribution based on comparative competitiveness of economics. Means in the field of economics, in the sector of economics, there has been a structural changes and which lead to the change in the production and distribution of the product. And the options are: a, global trade, whether it is a global trade that is bringing changes, structural changes in production and distribution. The B option is future trade, the trade that will come in the future. See, the modern trade, the trade that is in the present scenario, or the local trade which is focusing on the local area. So the correct option is the local trade, means the local trade is bringing structural changes in the production and distribution of products.